Hello everyone, my name is Circulatory from BPEd 2D and this topic is Circulatory System. So, what is circulatory system? Circulatory system, all the organs and tissue in the body requires oxygen. This requirement is fulfilled by the constant flow of oxygen carrying blood. So, ang circulatory system is the flow kung saan flow ang ating blood. At ang blood ang may carry ng oxygen na kailangan ng katawan natin. The circulatory system is responsible for making sure of the flow of the blood constant, allowing cells on the body to have access to oxygen. Kasi ang oxygen ay pinaka-importante na kailangan natin sa katawan natin kasi lahat ng organs ay kailangan ng oxygen para mag-operate ng maayos. So, sinabi dito na, without a proper function of circulatory system, our cells would be unable to function properly. So, isipin mo, pag wala tayong oxygen sa katawan natin, hindi para tayong nagdang gulay. Walang sumusuporta sa mga organs natin. So, the circulatory system has a number of the parts control the blood flow. At ito yung blood, heart, and blood vessel. So, first of all is the blood. So, blood is a fluid that delivers necessary substances, including nutrients and oxygen, to all different parts in the cell of body. Blood also carries waste product away from the cells to other areas where they can be processed. So, ang alam natin siguro na yung blood ay, ang dala lang siguro ay nutrients, oxygen. Pero sila din ang nagdadala ng mga kailangan ng tanggalin sa katawan natin. Tulad ng carbon dioxide. Siyempre, isa na yun. So, sabi dito, the average adult has around 5 liters of blood. So, average yun sa kung ilan yung liters ng blood natin sa katawan, kung gaano kadami. So, 5 liters. So, blood is mainly composed of solid blood cells which are suspended in the liquid plasma. So, plasma consists of approximately 90% of water. The rest is being made of the dissolved substances including protein, sugar, hormones, and minerals. So, there are 4 main components of blood, which is the number 1 is the red blood cells or the erythrocytes. That these are the common cells in the blood. These cells contain a special protein called hemoglobin that allows them to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide within the bloodstream. This function makes the cells extremely important. So, pag walang red blood cells, para lang yung red blood cells ay parang sasakyan lang sa biyahe. So, paano tayo makakarating sa napupuntahan natin pag walang sasakyan? Alam ko namang maglakad tayo, mas mahirap. So, ang red blood cells dito ay yung may carry ng kung ano yung kailangan na i-deliver ng katawan natin tulad ng oxygen, nutrients, minerals, gano'n. Second is the white blood cells or the leukocytes. That these cells are the part of the immune system. So, sila ay part sila ng immune system na kung saan tumutulong sa atin na para hindi na palalain yung sakit natin o tinatanggal yung sakit natin. So, acting to defend the body from infectious disease or intruding cells. They destroy and remove the old cells and debris from the blood. White also attacking foreign disease, causing agents and foreign substances in the body. So, dito sa components of blood, ang white blood cells talaga ay nagsisilbing army ng ating dugo. So, dito na pine-prevent nila na pag may sakit ng isang tao, tumutulong sila para hindi na mapalala ito o hindi na lumala at hindi na kumalat. So number 3 is the platelets or the thrombocytes. Now, these cells are responsible for clotting of blood, also referred to as a coagulation. When the skin is cut, these cells create a mesh-like barrier over the cut. So, ang example ko dyan is nagkaroon tayo ng sugat dito sa kamay na lumalabas yung dugo, hindi natitigilan. So, ang platelets dyan ang naghihinto para hindi na lumabas yung dugo. So, parang nagkaklat dito. At pag nagklat yun, syempre may hinto na yung paglabas ng dugo. So, the other blood cells become caught in the mesh and collect the form blood, which stops the blood leaving the body and prevents bacteria from entering the bloodstream. Platelets are very important in tissue healing. So, hindi lang siya para sa pagpigil na paglabas ng dugo sa ating katawan. So, pinipigilan na din yung pagpasok ng mga bawal sa katawan natin tulad ng mga bacteria or viruses. So, the last one is the plasma. And plasma is the liquid component of the blood that the cells are suspended in. It accounts for the around 50% of the total volume of the blood and contain things like dissolved proteins, glucose, and platelets, as well as the blood cells themselves.
Good day everyone, I am Desiree S. Reyes from BPEd 2D, and now let us move on to our next topic, which is the functions of blood. So blood is a vital fluid in our bodies and perform many important functions. Napaka-importante ng dugo sa katawan nating mga tao. So if you still don't know, blood is playing a very important role in our body system, and these functions are as follows. So number 1, blood is a fluid connective tissue. Blood is composed of 55% plasma and 45% form elements tulad ng red blood cells, white blood cells, at platelets. Blood is considered as a fluid connective tissue, so hindi lang siya basta fluid. It is the only fluid tissue in the body. Number 2, blood supplies oxygen to our body cells. So our blood absorbs oxygen from the air, and the oxygen was carried by the RBC or the red blood cells papunta sa lungs natin. And then it will transport the oxygen from the lungs to our cells throughout our body. So blood is the vital fluid that supplies oxygen to our body. Next, number 3. Blood removes waste in our body, including the carbon dioxide. RBC or red blood cells are an important element of blood, and their job is to transport oxygen to the body's tissue in exchange for carbon dioxide. So from the lungs, yung carbon dioxide sa katawan natin will move out from the blood to the air and is exhaled. So that is why every time we exhale, the carbon dioxide was released, and every time we inhale, oxygen comes in. And through blood, waste are also detoxified or removed. So, dadali ng blood natin yung mga waste products natin sa cells natin, and then it will transport it to the liver and kidneys. So, the liver and kidneys will remove it from our body. Number 4. Blood is a defense against diseases and detection of foreign material. So, in the previous function that we discussed, nalaman natin kung ano bang function ng RBC or red blood cells. So now, let us know what's the importance of WBC or ang white blood cells. So white blood cells, or also called leukocytes, are the disease-fighting components of the blood. They account for just 1% of circulating blood, pero kapag nagkaroon tayo ng infections or inflammations, nagmumultiply siya to defend our body from infections, foreign materials, and abnormal cells. Number 5, blood helps in clotting and prevention of blood loss. And this time, we will know the importance of platelets. So platelets are tiny cells that have a big job in stopping bleeding. Proteins in the blood called clotting factors work to form a clot. So ang tawag sa process na to na pagpapahinto ng pagdurugo ay hemostasis. So kapag nagkakasugat tayo, ang first step sa wound healing is hemostasis. And the platelets and proteins sa blood natin are responsible for it. It helps in clotting and prevention of blood loss. Number 6, blood transports nutrients and hormones. Blood plays a large role in the digestion and endocrine system of our body. Yung mga digested nutrients ay ia-absorb sa bloodstream ng katawan natin papunta sa capillaries and then into the small intestine. And these nutrients includes glucose, amino acid, vitamins, minerals, and fatty acids. Blood also transports some hormones secreted by the endocrine system glands to target the organs and tissues. And last, blood helps regulate and maintain body temperature. Our blood helps to keep certain values of our body in balance. So, sinisigurado ng dugo natin na okay yung body temperature natin or minemaintain niya yung temperature ng katawan natin. This is done both through blood plasma and speed at which the blood is flowing. Yung plasma ang nag-a-absorb at nagbibigay ng init sa katawan natin. So kapag naman sobra yung init ng katawan natin, nag-expand naman yung blood vessels para mag-flow ng dahan-dahan yung dugo, which will cause lower heat in our body. Blood also regulate acidity or the pH level of the body. These are just the main functions of the blood. It is essential in our body and is helping us to be alive. And without it, we can't live. And for the next topic, here is Ms. Marian Rodriguez to discuss the heart.
Good day everyone, I am Marian Rodriguez from BPEd 2D. Our report is on about circulatory system, and the topic that was assigned to me is all about the heart. So first, what is heart? As a central part of the circulatory system, the heart is primarily responsible for pumping blood and distributing oxygen and nutrients throughout the body. And because of this task, the heart may be considered one of the most important organs of the body. It is a muscular organ about the size of our fist and located slightly left to center in our chest. As you can see, this is my fist, so this is the size of my heart. The heart is divided into two, right and left side, which the division protect the oxygen-rich blood from mixing with oxygen-poor blood. Together, our heart and blood vessels comprise cardiovascular system with circulating blood and oxygen around to our body. In fact, our heart pumps about 5 quarts of blood every minute. It beats 100,000 times in one day, and that is about 35 million times in a year. The oxygen-poor blood, blue blood, returns to our heart after circulating to our body. The right side of our heart composed of right atrium and right ventricle, which collect and pumps the blood to the lungs to the pulmonary artery. The lungs refresh the blood with the new supply of oxygen and making it to turn red. The oxygen-rich blood, red blood, then enters in the left side of the heart, which the left atrium and ventricle, and pumps through aorta to the body to supply tissues with oxygen. There are 4 valves within the heart that keep our blood move in the right way, which are pulmonary valve, aortic valve, tricuspid valve, and mitral valve. and each valve opens and closes once for its beats or about every second. A beating heart contracts and relaxes. When it is contraction, it is called systole. And when it is relaxing, it is called diastole. During systole, the ventricle contracts, forcing blood into the vessels, going to your lungs and to the body. The ventricles relax during diastole and filled with blood, coming with upper chambers, the left and right atria. Then the cycle starts again. Our heart also has electrical wiring which keeps its beating. Electrical impulses begin high in the right atrium and travel through specialized pathways through the ventricles, delivering the signal to pump. Therefore, the connection system keeps our heart beating in the coordinated and normal rhythm, which in turn keeps blood circulating. The continuous exchange of oxygen-rich blood with oxygen-poor blood is what keeps us alive. That's the end of my presentation. And let us proceed to Ms. Jessamay Reyes for her report. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Jessamay Reyes from BPEd 2D and my report is about chambers and valves. The human heart has 4 chambers, each separated by valves. 4 chambers include right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and right ventricle. Normal heart daw natin is merong 4 na chamber. Yung 4 na chamber na yon is nahati siya sa 2 sa taas, 2 sa baba. Yung 2 chamber sa taas, ang tawag sa kanila is left atrium and right atrium. Yung 2 na to, sila yung nagpapump ng blood natin papasok sa puso natin. And yung 2 naman sa baba, ang tawag sa kanila is left ventricle and right ventricle. Yung 2 naman na yun sa baba, sila naman yung nagpapump ng dugo natin palabas sa puso natin. The valves that separated the 4 chambers prevent blood from flowing backwards, thus only following the flow of blood in one direction. Genetic defects or illness-related damage in the heart chambers or valves disrupt the flow of blood, which may be contributing factors in the development and severity of cardiovascular diseases. So, yung valves daw, ito naman yung nagpapanatili ng daloy ng dugo natin dire-diretso. Hindi niya hinahayaan na yung dugo natin is mag-flow pabalik. Kasi kapag yung dugo natin is nag-flow pabalik, magkakaroon tayo ng sakit. Or magkakaroon tayo ng defect sa heart natin. So, yung valves daw natin is may 4 na parts. Yung una na doon is the tricuspid valve. Yung tricuspid valve, ito naman matatagpuan siya between the right atrium and right ventricle. The second type of valves is the pulmonary valve. Yung pulmonary valve naman matatagpuan siya sa right atrium and the pulmonary artery. The next one is mitral or mitral valve, or you can call it bicuspid valve. Matatagpuan naman siya sa pagitan ng left atrium and right atrium. And lastly, meron tayong tinatawag na aortic valve. Yung aortic valve, matatagpuan siya sa pagitan ng left ventricle and ng aorta. To sum it up, the 4 heart valves, tricuspid, pulmonary, mitral, and aortic, open and close at just the right moment to keep the blood moving in the proper direction through the heart. It is important to visualize the heart functioning as 2 separate pumps working in series, the right heart pump and the left heart pump.
Good day everyone, I am Dana Eileen Filipino from BPEd 2D and I'm here to discuss about the cardiac cycle. Let's start. Let me define first the cardiac cycle. The cardiac cycle is the sequence of events that occurs when the heart beats. There are two phases of this cycle, and this is the systole and diastole. And systole is the phase in which both ventricles contract. When these two chambers contract, the muscles powerfully push the blood out into the blood cells, into the blood vessels, moving away from the heart. As noted before, the right ventricle pushes blood to the lungs while the left ventricle pushes blood into the aorta before it distributes the rest of the body. And diastole is the phase in which both ventricles are relaxed. When these two chambers are relaxed, they are refilled with blood from each atrium, getting new blood to pump out from the heat and into the blood vessels when the cycle begins again. Remember, it is the contraction and relaxation of the heart that pushes blood through the blood vessels. Systole is when the heart is contracting or higher pressure, while diastole is when the heart is relaxed, called lower pressure. The cardiac cycle, all the activities of heart through one complete heartbeat, that is through contraction and relaxation of both atria and ventricles. A contraction event either the atria or ventricles is referred to as a systole, and while the relaxation is referred to the diastole. I will show you the short video about cardiac cycle.
This animation illustrates a single cardiac cycle, starting with the right side of the heart. In reality, of course, the two sides of the heart work together at the same time, but it is easier to understand if we look at them separately, because each side of the heart has a different function. The cardiac cycle begins as deoxygenated blood flows from the body into the right atrium via the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. In the next phase of the cycle, the right atrium contracts, pumping blood into the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve. Once the right ventricle fills with blood, the tricuspid valve closes to prevent blood flowing back into the atrium. The right ventricle contracts, forcing the pulmonary valve to open as blood is pumped into the pulmonary artery. Blood then travels to the lungs and the pulmonary valve closes. At the same time, the right atrium relaxes, ready to accept the next intake of blood. In the lungs, the blood picks up oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. Oxygenated blood flows from the lungs into the left atrium via the pulmonary veins. The left atrium contracts to pump blood into the left ventricle through the mitral valve. Once the left ventricle has filled with blood, the mitral valve closes. Next, the left ventricle contracts, forcing the aortic valve to open, allowing blood to be pumped into the aorta and from there around the body. The aortic valve closes to prevent blood flowing back into the left ventricle, and the left ventricle relaxes, ready to accept the next intake of blood. Cardiac cycle is now complete.
Now let's proceed the last reporter, which is Miss Rochelle Santos.
Good day everyone, I am Rochelle Santos from BPEd 2D and I will discuss the blood vessels. We have three major types of blood vessels, which is arteries, capillaries, and veins. Now let's start. The blood vessels are the part of the circulatory system that carry blood throughout the different parts of the body. These vessels carry blood into all of our organs and tissues, supplying the oxygen and nutrients necessary for our bodies to function properly. Blood vessels are the channels or conduits through which blood is distributed to body tissues. The vessels make up two closed systems of tubes that begin and end at the heart. One system, the pulmonary vessels, transport blood from the right ventricle to the lungs and back to the left atrium. These are the three major types of blood vessels. First, arteries carry blood rich in oxygen away from the heart to the body. The arteries are the blood vessels that deliver oxygen-rich blood from the heart to the tissues of the body. Each artery is a muscular tube lined by smooth tissue and has three layers. The intima, the inner layer lined by a smooth tissue called endothelium. Next is capillaries, very small blood vessels that allow for exchange of gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide, water, nutrients, and waste products to and from the blood. Capillaries are the very tiny blood vessels, so small that a single red blood cells can barely fit through them. They help to connect your arteries and veins in addition to facilitating the exchange of certain elements between your blood and tissues. And the last is veins. Carry blood, pour in oxygen back to the heart. Veins are the type of blood vessel that return the oxygenated blood from your organs back to your heart. These are different from your arteries, which deliver oxygenated blood from your heart to the rest of your body. The oxygenated blood that flows into your veins is collected within tiny blood cells called capillaries.